We are back for round 1. Our opponent won the die roll and mulligans to 6, and we have a hand which is capable of casting Butcher Ghoul, but it doesn't have any islands, and islands are quite important for our deck. We do have multiple cards with 2 blue in their casting cost, and despite having a 2-drop, our deck also isn't doing much before turn 4 and 5. We do need to draw 2 lands to drop these, and then another land, and 2 islands for the Revenant. So, despite this looking quite reasonable, I think it simply doesn't do enough for this format, and also that our deck is capable of much more. So, okay, looks like we have a fan here. Our opponent is keeping on 6, and we have the dreaded double Geist Snatch hand, which is not something I like to see, but we do have a hand that's capable of developing quite nicely into a turn 3 Ledge Seeker, turn 4 Corpse Traders, and then depending on the situation we can keep open Geist Snatch. So of course it's not really possible to go down to 5 with a hand like this. The way I see it, your deck has to be able to do something before turn 4. So you can't reasonably keep a hand which doesn't do anything on turn 2 or 3. And for example, our opponent shows that even after a mulligan, it's easily possible to have a good start. Now I drew the Apprentice, which is actually quite nice to keep his Crypt Creeper in check, but I also want my Ledge Seekers to become active as soon as possible. The problem is that I want to race with the Ledge Seekers, which doesn't really work if I fight against the Blood Artist, but I'm afraid that the Ledge Seeker is going to get killed, but it's also possible that he's screwed on his second color, even though there is quite a lot of good mono black decks in this format. In fact, racing with Ledge Seeker isn't the worst idea to beat a Blood Artist, simply because we are not going to kill any creatures, which makes our clock faster and his clock slower. Now, he didn't cast a removal spell on one of our Ledge Seekers yet, which is of course very good. And in fact we can even kill the Blood Artist with Deathwind. Okay, that's interesting. He's going to have to start sacrificing his creatures, and that's actually going to be in our favor, I believe. Now let's see, I think that he's most likely going to sacrifice the Crypt Creeper, and then of course he's going to get some life from the Blood Artist. So if I kill the Blood Artist now, then he only goes up to 12 life, and I kill him in 2 swings, so I'm going to Deathwind here. The alternative would have been to keep open Geist Snatch and Deathwind, and then well, it would have been very likely that he plays another creature. I think he didn't have a target for the Crypt Creeper, otherwise he probably would have had to sacrifice it in response to my Deathwind, because he could have gained another life to beat my Ledge Seekers. Now any creature he would play, he would have to sacrifice, and because my Ledge Seekers can't be blocked, it's not really a good option for him to cast anything else. And now we're just passing with Geist Snatch and Crippling Chill, so this game is hopefully over. It's theoretically possible that he has something like I don't know what it's called, that I lose life equal to the highest power among creatures. Okay, that's also nice. Barter and Blood is of course a card here, which makes us sacrifice one of our Ledge Seekers, but I think he's too far behind, hopefully. He's going to be forced to deal with Ledge Seeker next turn. And the only question is if we drop Corpse Traders to make it even more difficult for him. But the problem here is that then I really lose to another Barter and Blood, which I don't really want. So I'm hoping that he doesn't have an answer to Ledge Seeker, which isn't Barter and Blood, and I'm playing around Barter and Blood, and at some point he has to play a creature which I can Geist Snatch and then win on the back of Geist Snatch and Crippling Chill. So despite not that much happening in this game, there was also already an interesting situation with the race against Blood Artist, and we already saw how the Taskmaster really dominates what a black deck is capable of, because a lot of plays are just not available if you have to sacrifice a creature in your upkeep. Now, I think the Grave Exchange is a good card against a deck playing Demonic Taskmaster. So, but the same goes for all the instants I'm playing. So it's not something that we necessarily have to include. However, we could probably go without the Haunted Guardian. He did play a Crypt Creeper, but he isn't looking to be an aggressive deck if he's blue-black. So let's take out the Guardian, and we probably want the Soul Cage Fiend first, simply because it's a 3/2 that helps against fighting against this Taskmaster. And I would like to include the Grave Exchange, but I don't know if I can find a card for that. Now, Human Frailty might not have a target against his deck, but I think I like my chances. It's just very possible that he plays a blue human, and that would actually be very important to kill it. And this is a human, so Grave Exchange. Yeah, let's take another look at his deck before we make a decision to include the 6-drop. He's keeping his hand on the play, and I'm going to keep this hand as well. I've talked about how important it is to do something, and Deathwind certainly counts. And with the Mystic and the Vanguard, we already have the beginning of a very good late game. So added in that he isn't going to do a very aggressive start, simply because his black-blue deck doesn't have a lot of aggressive cards. We should be fine. I don't know why he's playing the Plains. Could be boarding or, well, something else. And here's also something where I just Deathwind immediately to keep the tempo of this game in check. Sadly, I don't have a 3-drop to play, and I also didn't draw a second island yet for the Mystic, but so far everything is fine. And Evernight is quite a lot better than Butcher Ghoul. Okay, now we are only waiting for a 5th land, which could be an island or something else. And we do have a card which is actually quite good against the removal he's shown so far. So Barter and Blood doesn't kill it. This is a very good card. Exiles a creature, gets larger and gets all activated abilities. Not a card we want to fight against. So we do have to Deathwind this as soon as possible, simply because even if we drop the Revenant, he could exile the Shade, which is not something we want, I believe. So do we Deathwind here? And do we Deathwind? If we Deathwind, we probably want to Deathwind for 4 to play around Zealous Strike. Could also Deathwind in his upkeep to play around Cloud Shift. I think that are the alternatives we have. But I'm not going to attack to play this safe. And hopefully he doesn't have like something like Restoration Angel to flicker this in his upkeep. It would have also been possible to just drop the Revenant. Then he might have a 6th land and be able to kill the Shade. But okay, yeah, that doesn't work so well. He tried to Necrobite his Dark Imposter to regenerate it, but you can't regenerate a creature that gets -X/-X. So that was, of course, a very nice turn of events here. I don't think he's blocking, but if he is, I can still play Lunar Mystic. And I'm not really in a hurry to win this game, so... I also don't think that he has a good block here, but okay. I suppose it's fine to upgrade the Butcher Ghoul to a 2/2, so... Oh, let's see, I do have the option between Mystic and Ledge Seeker, and Ledge Seeker just does much more for me. If I draw a land and he drops a human, I can still go Mystic, Frailty, and draw a card. But so far he hasn't really shown any, so... Okay. I think that means that Mystic and Frailty are going to go. The 2 cards are that were least likely to do anything for us, so... Now we're drawing the land, which we would have happily discarded, but I don't think we have reasons to complain here. I expect him to block the Shade, simply because he blocked last turn. But that's not really a problem. Okay, no, he isn't blocking. I actually was, if he had blocked, I think I would have only pumped once to let my Shade die, and then have gotten it back as a larger creature. But once again, now I think I probably can only lose against Barda in Blood. And having a Shade in play means that Barda in Blood is not as dangerous. Of course, I think we just played we simply played cards that were stronger overall. So not much happening in this match. I mean, this is a Swiss draft. I usually cover 8-4s, but this is the only drafts I can show you at this point. So I hope you aren't too critical, and it's nice that everybody gets a chance to play in these events. So see you next round.